My name is Marcus, and I've worked the graveyard shift as a stocking manager for a major 24-hour supermarket chain for the last 6 years. Because of the unusual hours, I am deeply used to the eerie, liminal atmosphere of a massive retail store after midnight. I know how to navigate the blinding white glare of the fluorescent lights bouncing off polished linoleum, the low, mechanical drone of the industrial freezer aisles, and the absolute absence of human life in a space designed for crowds. At that hour, the store belongs entirely to the night crew. I've spent hundreds of nights wandering down the vast, empty aisles with nothing but a handheld scanner and my own thoughts for company. I thought I knew every stockroom blind spot and operational system in the entire blueprint. I was wrong. It happened last Tuesday, during a sudden, violent summer thunderstorm that slammed against the flat metal roof of the supermarket, making the massive steel girders groan under the sheer weight of the wind and rain. It was roughly 2:15 a.m., and the weather had completely cut off the store from the surrounding town, rendering the outside world entirely dark. The rest of my late-night stocking crew had already completed their sections in the back warehouse, leaving me completely alone at the front of the main sales floor. The automated overhead lights had entered a dimmed, power-saving configuration, plunging the endless rows of cereal boxes and canned goods into a deep, geometric landscape of overlapping shadows. Without warning, a massive lightning strike hit the local transformer, causing the store's central electrical grid to violently spark and die. Within a fraction of a second, the emergency backup generators kicked in with a low, rumbling vibration beneath my feet, plunging the entire supermarket into a dim, sickly green emergency glow. The central public address system let out a long, high-pitched feedback screech from the ceiling, followed by a heavily distorted computerized voice that crackled through the speakers. System update initiated. The structural perimeter is now officially locked for corporate reconciliation. Do not attempt to clear the terminals. I frowned, a sudden spike of cold anxiety hitting my chest. I pulled out my corporate inventory scanner to check the central network status, but the liquid crystal display glitched violently. The standard tracking software, which usually featured a clean blue logo, instantly turned a deep, bruised purple color. The digital interface froze completely, forcing a single raw text box across the glass screen. Asset migration detected. Employee 4109 has crossed into unlisted Sector 0. Local contract parameters cannot sustain unallocated overhead mass. To authorize exit transit, you must balance the local register ledger. I let out a shaky breath and tucked the device back into my pocket. Suddenly, the low, comforting mechanical hum of the industrial freezers completely ceased. The silence that followed was heavy, pressurized, and suffocating, instantly dropping the temperature inside the store to a transitional freeze. My breath bloomed into thick, white plumes of vapor that hung perfectly still in the dead air as I began to walk toward the front checkout lanes, looking for a way out. There, sitting at the far end of the long row of dark checkout counters, a single self-checkout kiosk violently flared to life. It was labeled Register 0. The digital screen was actively refreshing in the dark, loading a raw, geometric wireframe blueprint of the supermarket. A single bright red heat dot was blinking directly in the center of the screen, tracking my exact physical coordinates on the floor. On the flat metal scanning bed sat a massive leather-bound book resting next to an antique stone inkwell. I backed away in terror, my heart hammering violently against my ribs. I turned around and ran toward the main glass exit doors, throwing my weight against the handles. The heavy frames didn't budge. They had locked down with a permanent mechanical click that sounded completely unyielding. I wiped away the condensation on the glass to look outside, and the breath caught sharply in my throat. The parking lot, the streetlights, and the storm were entirely gone. Beyond the glass, there was only a vast, endless abyss of absolute unrendered blackness stretching out into infinity. I slowly turned around, my back pressed hard against the freezing glass. Standing directly behind Register 0 was a figure dressed in the red company uniform. He was transitionally tall and thin, his long, multi-jointed arms hanging limply past his knees. He wore the standard employee vest, but a dark corporate visor was pulled extremely low over his forehead, casting an absolute impenetrable shadow across his face. As he slowly stepped forward into the sickly green emergency light, I realized the shadow wasn't a trick of the light. He had no eyes, no nose, no hair. His face was a smooth, unbroken oval of pale gray skin, save for a wide, horizontal tear across his lower jaw that was stretched into a wet, horrific, toothless grin. In his right skeletal hand, he held a handheld barcode scanner. He raised it slowly, pointing the glowing red laser beam directly at the center of my chest. From the dark, empty grocery aisles behind me, a low, multi-layered voice broke through the freezing silence of the store. It didn't sound human. It sounded like the synchronized clicking of thousands of mechanical keyboards, the grinding of ancient iron gears, and the rhythmic, high-pitched beep of automated checkout scanners, all whispering in a flat, monotone unison. The inventory must balance, Marcus. Sign the registry, or your physical mass becomes the new, unallocated stock of the facility. I looked down at my phone as the battery life instantly drained from 90% down to 0 in a single second, entirely zapped by the extreme, unnatural cold radiating from the front counter. Before the glass interface went completely dark, the store's automated network app typed out one final log entry across the display. Transaction pending. Human capital designated as primary liquidity. Allocation complete. Thank you for shopping with us. Before I could even let out a breath to scream, the kiosk screen of Register 0 violently shattered inward, plunging the front of the store into total, absolute darkness. And through the heavy, dead silence, I heard the slow, rhythmic click, click, click of long, unbent fingernails tapping methodically against the plastic counter, moving steadily inward toward where I stood, trapped against the locked glass. Double tap if your blood just ran cold. Share this video to scare a friend who loves late-night snack runs. And hit that follow button right now so you never miss another late-night nightmare.